that life isn't just about working hard and being the best version of yourself and everything will pan out. What I learned is if people are tied to it, it's basically corrupt.
Perfectly coiffed hair, looks neat and presentable all the time. He is the Mitt blockchain CEO.
Guest was one of the first and youngest names in the crypto space. Let's bring in Mitt Group CEO Grant Mitt.
Tea-time like I got a couple. Tea-time like golf at 5:45. I love a regular. Famous host lame, but they still.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 63. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the art of the setup, how to actually position yourself to succeed and accomplish the things that you want to in life. Growing up, I never came from family money. I never had this incredible mentor that could just tell me exactly what to do or pick up the phone and call the right person so I could get the internship, the investment, or the opportunity. I had to kind of figure out everything on my own. And the only things I really had to base what I thought success was, how to actually make it happen, was at first all based off theory. It was based off of, typically for myself, my experience in sports. And I got to see what caused this person to become a starter? What caused this person to get a scholarship to play in university or college? What caused this person to end up going to the NFL, the MLB, the NBA? And that experience and being around a team environment and seeing the politics and see how decisions were made from an outside perspective, it helped me slowly start to understand how life went. Because while I was playing sports and I wasn't in business or in the real world yet or working at a company or owning a company, I got to see a team environment that was thrived and operated off of performance. So I got a good indicator of at least a test result of like, how does this whole thing work? Next, what I started doing is studying all the most successful people in the world that I wanted to be like and model and operate just like them. But even more so when I actually started working for other people and learning how to get promoted, how to move up, how to play the politics, I learned that life isn't just about working hard and being the best version of yourself and everything will pan out. What I learned is if people are tied to it, it's basically corrupt. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean corrupt in a bad way, but what I mean is you could be working at a company and let's say there's a promotion for a management position. They announce it to the company. They say, hey, we're going to interview about 5 to 10 people. We're going to have a few outside resumes. They may make it look like that, but the entire time they know who's going to get the job and the position. They're just going to make it look like it's fair. That's what I learned. If it's tied to people, they're always going to typically lead with their self-interest. And no one is going to blatantly go out of their way to do something that doesn't make sense for them, the organization, or their team, or any area or decision that could make them look bad. In other words, they're guiding their self-interest. So when I learned this, at first I was like, man, that's not fair. And then I kind of pulled back and I said, well, look, when I really think about this is basically just a real life version of a video game. I had to have strategy. I had to plan and prepare for each situation, each conversation. And instead of going, oh, well, I just hope it was different and that's not fair. Instead, I accepted it for what it was and realized, okay, if I know how to accomplish and win this game, and I can do things in a way that I can succeed and move up, but also do these things for good and make an impact with every person I come across. I can change organizations that at the time I was working for. Within my own, I can change it for better and improve the lives of our customers, our people, their families, everything like that. Then I could use this game and this strategy to stop bad things from happening and open up doors for the people I care about, people I love, and heck, have this podcast to tell more people so everyone listening can become more successful. I just had to stop wishing the game was a different type of game and that it wasn't the way that it was. And instead, I just learned, look, I got to accept it and I have to strategize and I have to learn to win at this game because no matter how I feel, this is the way that it is. Now, what's interesting in life, and I want you guys to all think about maybe people that you grew up with. The one friend in the class that was so charming, could come up with anything off the top of their head. Yet right now, they're not doing anything remotely successful. Or think about the athlete that literally could pick up any ball, a soccer ball, football, baseball, basketball, and was instantaneously the best player, but they never ended up going to the major leagues. Why is that the case? Just because someone has talent, and everybody listening has some sort of talent and some type of specialty, even if you're figuring out what you still want to do with your life, you still have some unique characteristics and abilities that the next person doesn't. Why isn't everyone successful? And it's because, I'm just going to be blunt with you, life is not fair. Just because you're good and more talented, if you don't have the positioning and the setup and the leverage, you will lose to someone who does. That's the way life is. And instead of me sugarcoating it, let's actually break down and strategize how to create leverage regardless. And this is assuming you have nothing right now. This is assuming you don't have a phone that you can pick up. This is assuming that you don't have someone that can write a blank check. This is how to get leverage, how to position yourself to have the opportunity to actually be successful. Now, if you get your opportunity and fail, well, you got to keep trying and you got to make something happen. But this is how to actually do it. One of my good friends, he is in the entertainment business. He's in clubs, he's in bars. And he was telling me, he said, Grant, it's so interesting. And he's like, it's like social dynamics and it's interesting. It's all psychology and how people perceive you. And he goes, after his early years in that industry, he ended up building an entertainment company, being successful. And he'd say, Grant, me being in my 20s, my late 20s, I can walk into a club or a bar. I know the owner, I give them a hug. I'll have a table set up, friends all there. We're ordering bottles, we're on all these different things. And every single person in the club will be looking at us. They'll be looking at me. And he said, what's so interesting is where he lives, there's a lot of successful people there. And he said, there was a person that was next to us and he was trying to figure out who this guy was. This guy was worth over $100 million, but just wearing a plain t-shirt, basic, didn't really care, and was ordering all these different bottles and spending all this money. But what was interesting is they did not one girl, not other person in the club, no one was even paying attention to him. Now, if he had a giant sign that said, hey, I'm worth $100 million and I'm big time, obviously that'd be weird. But if people knew, they would obviously treat him a lot nicer. So why was the crowd treating a 27-year-old that's still figuring out in life, that's still successful for a 27-year-old, but it's not worth $100 million? Why are they treating him like gold? And the person that's worth 9 figures, they won't even look at them. The setup. Life is not fair. And just because you're better than someone doesn't mean that you deserve the chance. It's because life is just the way that it is. And what I learned when I was talking to him about this is, one, that sucks and it's kind of funny. But two, if I'm prepared, I have all the skill sets in the world, I'm the best absolute candidate to land this big job, to land this deal, score this investment, or get my dream job. And I don't position myself to be at the right place at the right time, to be dressed the right way, to have the necessary connections and insides on that specific job, opportunity, or whatever it is, then I cannot expect success to come from it. Life is an inside game. You got to know the right people. Now, you don't have to know them from the start, but if you know that you're not in the position to have the leverage to be able to get the opportunity like the next person is, well, we can be sad about it, we can be passive aggressive about it, or we can actually break down and strategize how to do it. So I got 3 simple steps, and the processes are always simple. The details and the complications and the problem solving is in the details, okay? So number 1, decide who you want to be and work backwards. Okay, now what I mean by that is, let's say you go, Grant, I'm the youngest sales rep at a company, and I want to become the director of sales within 3 years. You have no college degree, you're brand new at this company, that is your goal. Instead of going, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to be this best sales rep, I'm going to do all the things I need to do, and I know it's going to work out. Instead, I want you to work backwards and go, okay, who is the director of sales now? And I want you to reverse engineer every single thing about them, who they are, what their skill sets are, do they have degrees? What is their experience? Who are they close with in the organization? What was their growth path? Did they come from another company? Did they move up in that organization? What are they good at? What are they bad at? What is something that sets them apart from other people? Now, this may just literally, the answer might be, well, they're just best friends with the owner of the company. And maybe that's just it. And they're good at talking to people. Maybe it's that they had this special degree and they had worked at this company as a sales rep and then a manager, and they scaled it and they were so good that they offered them a ridiculous amount of money to come to this company, and that's why they're there. Or it could be incredible managers, or they have this specific skill set. Whatever it is, whether you agree with it, whether it's fair, whatever, I want you to figure out, why is that person, he or she, in that role? Now, I want you to be blunt and honest with yourself and go, okay, if I were to suddenly and magically be in this position, what traits, skill sets, and leverage do I currently possess to see if I could align in that role, not in 3 years, but today? And let's say you go, well, okay, I'm definitely as good at sales as that person. I'm top 5 sales rep in the company. I've done really good. Okay, good. You're good at sales. Say 2, you are a fantastic people person. Everyone on your team respects you. Maybe you're a team leader. You help other people close deals. People respect you within the organization. Okay, that's 2. But let's say 3, you go, well, I don't know the CEO. I don't know the chief revenue officer. And I've never even met any of the C-suites in the company besides like at a Christmas party, I shook their hand once. And you go, okay, that's interesting. So let's say the director of sales in this instance is like this, super close with the CEO and the C-suites, and you don't know them. That's somewhere where you lack leverage. That's something that you're missing out on. And what's interesting is you could double your sales overnight. Everyone could love you and you're the most favorite person in the entire company, and you could still get screwed over and passed up because the people making the ultimate decisions don't know you. They've heard of you, but they don't have a direct relationship with you. So you got to find out what your missing links are. And it may be things that are more difficult and you have to make up for it in other areas. You may need to build a relationship. You may need to go work for a different company or try a new industry. But you have to break down, what are the things that you do right that set yourself up for success, and what are the things that are holding you back from ever potentially being in that role. I was just telling somebody this, when it comes to just simple products, right? The best product doesn't win. It's the product that everybody knows. Think about Coca-Cola. You cannot go to any part of the world, to any restaurant, any grocery store, any gas station, anywhere without seeing a Coca-Cola logo. Think about the major brands. Think about the biggest sports teams. Think about the most famous people that are on social media or that are on TV, the Kardashians. You can't go anywhere. You can't even spend a week. I don't follow one Kardashian on Instagram, yet I see them at least once or twice a week on something, on TikTok, online, someone talks about it. People follow, respect, and do business with and like things that they consistently see. That's not fair, but that's the way life is. So that's kind of what I want you guys to start thinking is, it's okay that it's not like that, but you got to start thinking different if you actually want to achieve your goals in this lifetime. You're like me, and it's first generation, you got to make something happen out of thin air. Well, we got to start getting creative. Okay, number 2, I heard a Division I scout for college football and also somebody that I know that's an NFL scout say this, and they said, look, if you're watching a game, let's say you're scouting a game, if it is not absolutely obvious that this person is a Division I or NFL player within 10 minutes, they aren't of that caliber. Meaning, for you to fit into that role or for you to become that successful entrepreneur, meaning all these people want to work with you, you attract the best talent, you close these deals, you build this successful company, or for you to get promoted, or for you to attract this person that you want in your life, it has to be obvious. Not because you're a good person, not because you've been through a lot and you deserve it, not because you've tried your hardest, but because it is plain as day sight. Someone that's not even in that industry can go, oh, I bet you that person's the CEO. When you pull up, you get out at valet, you walk into the restaurant, they treat you like gold and they can just tell you're important. They don't even know anything about you. If that's not the case, Maybe you don't have your life set up the right way. I know people that are so successful, they can show up in t-shirt and shorts, and every single person in that restaurant or that area knows them, knows how successful they are. It's because they've set their life up in a way that commands that type of respect. It needs to be obvious. I learned this in sports. The best of the best players had the physique, the connections, the coaches, the politics, everything so positioned right that them getting scholarship offers or getting opportunities to play at the highest level was like pointing up into the sky and going, yeah, the sky's blue. It wasn't this dream or wish or hope. It was just obvious. And everyone that I've seen get promoted and get opportunities and become wildly successful, when they became successful, while it was cool and it was great to see, it wasn't shocking. They weren't like some miraculous miracle story. It just made sense. They were actually that good. And so you have to figure out and reverse and engineer and break down and become that person today. So that example of this person wanting to get promoted to a director of sales that's a sales rep now, they need to become a director of sales before they ever get offered that position. They got to speak, walk, talk, connect, know the right people, set up their life so flawlessly that it is a perfect shoe that fits. That's when opportunities start happening. Third is you have to actually get into the game and show yourself to the world. So, for example, when I was working for a company and I was moving up into the organization, I'd become one of the top sales reps. And like I was mentioning about getting promoted and everything, I was trying to figure out how to become a regional sales manager. And what I did is I found out and realized that the decision maker was not the person ahead of me, but it was a vice president of sales and the CEO. I knew the only way to build a relationship with those people is when they came into town, I had to have the RSM and another person in operations give so much high praise about me that we would somehow find a way to connect. It had to happen organically. And because that happened and I set myself up for it, I was able to build an organic, natural relationship with the decision makers, not trying to get something out of it, but just simply trying to build a relationship, knowing that if I was as good as I wanted to be and I was producing all this type of sales, I was moving up, I was respected, when the opportunity would present itself, it would make 100% sense for them to promote me into that role. We have to start breaking down our lives in a very simplistic way. Life also oftentimes gives the simplest answers. You just have to actually go out and position yourself to do this. And when we release and let go of what's fair and what's not, and we actually just make the changes necessary to actually give us this opportunity, that's when it happens. Last, when you get presented the opportunity, you just have to execute. Just think about all the athletes or the business people that got the business, that got the promotion, that became CEO, that made it to the NFL. Not everyone makes it, guys. Once you get that opportunity, now it's about performing. Now it's about executing and performing at the highest level. So when you get your opportunity, you better make sure that you're ready. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, thank you for the support and love. As always, you guys can find me on all my social media channels at Grant Mitt. And if you love this podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have an incredible week, and I will see you guys again for episode 64. Thank you, guys.